complicated. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.
All right, and shalom to everyone. This is the day that Yahweh has given unto us to take on a new place and space and work. Hope that you guys are doing well. Welcome to the Proceeding Word. Those of you who have joined in with us, I hope that you have found today to be a joyful time, opportunity for you to be everything you can be. Would you please, if you're on Facebook, come on in and hit the heart sign, hit the like sign, and hit the love sign to let us know that you're here. As well as make your comments, make a statement. It'd be good to have you make comment or statement to keep our algorithms going. And if not, then, well, there you have it. It'll just be what it is. And I think I'm going to stop making that statement. I feel like I'm begging people to do that. I'm going to stop doing that. How about that? Prefer just to be as we are. We're here not to make likes and get friends and all that stuff. We're here to share with those who actually know why we study. So I think I'm going to stop making an invitation to do that. Those of you who are with us, there she is, Minister Jackie. If I don't see you on platform, I have problems. It's like my head just don't think right. I just love you so much. I promise you. I don't know what that's about, but Yahweh be praised. Good to have you with us today. Hope that everybody is doing well. Simone, blessings upon you and your wonderful family. And to our families who've lost loved ones this morning. We've had multiples, and patriarchs and matriarchs are going on at the rate of time. Nothing changes, and at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you know that we're praying for you and for the comfort of Elohim in this time of transition. And that's to each and every one of you who have communicated with me the losses of life. And one thing we want to make sure we remember, that life is given based on Elohim, and life is expired based on Elohim. However, it does not remove the pain of the separation of that human entity in our lives. All right. So those of you who are with us on Facebook, you know what to do. Clubhouse, we're glad to have you as well. Boy, our numbers are terrible anymore these days. I guess maybe it's the time and the hour. Maybe that's what it is. All right. We'll keep trying to do better. Okay. So glad to have you with us. Let's take opportunity to pray. Yahweh, loving you, adoring you, magnifying and exalting you is what we choose to do. As you chose to give us life this morning, as you chose to give us life and breath even this minute, we're asking you now that the glory of you can be extracted from us, and our efforts to put ourselves in a position where when you desire to use us, you can. We want to do better. So we know that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of you and your mouth. Yahweh, you are our Elohim. And so we take that seriously, and we come today to learn of you. Socially, politically, financially, ministerially, relationally, within family-wise, within all things that we do. And we want your word to guide us, be our continual guide. We bring ourselves and we come, and we believe that if the student should appear, you, great teacher, if the student is ready, pardon me, Yahweh, if the student is ready, and we want to let you know by coming here today in these ways of thoughts that we're ready to learn. And when the student is ready, you, the great teacher of life, shall appear. Here we are. We want to learn from you. I decrease all things that are me, that your word would take the preeminence in this space. In the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of you, Yahweh, our Elohim. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, we pray and we say, Amen. All right, listen, glad to be with you, glad to have you. I'm hoping that you guys are thinking on the title today. We're going to have one of our moderators come on and tell us what that looks like. And if we could get Minister Jackie to go ahead and prepare that for us, I'd be so happy. And if you would, it'd be my joy. Minister Jackie.
Shalom and welcome to another broadcast of the Proceeding Word. where the subject today is seasons of change. Please note that we are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have not done so already, if you click on the top named the preceding word, that will entitle you to become part of the preceding word family. And also if you click on Apostle's profile, every time he comes into Clubhouse, you will be notified. You'll also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and happy to say YouTube, and you can access us at VWJ Ministries, where all of Apostle's recordings, broadcasts have been uploaded live for you to access. We're back here on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly Bible study, and then again on Thursday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. for our Bible book club, where we're continuing a long and wonderful and exhaustive study through the book of Genesis. Also, we honor Sabbath, so we open up for our Midrash Sabbath studies every Friday at 11 p.m. and we'll continue those studies at 11 a.m. on Saturday. If you would like to know more about us, why don't you follow us, so you'll be invited to attend our church service, where we broadcast live from Facebook every Sunday for our Morrow After Sabbath service at 10:15 a.m. And you are welcome to join us through any of the platforms where we broadcast. We want to know it's a pleasure having you here. You can share this broadcast before and after we have concluded today's message. Thank you so much, Apostle. Back to you.
Thank you so very much. I am honored to have you with us to do what you do well, and that is to make my broadcast brighter. Thank thou. Yes. All right, everybody. If you came in, you know what to do. Hit your heart signs and your like signs. If you're on Facebook, let us know you're here. Make your comments and feel free to share this broadcast, whether you're on Clubhouse, IG, and or on our live streams via video technology. Well, we want to make sure we get this message out today, because a lot of people don't think that we go through we think that things, once we get something established, is to stay the same. Nothing stays the same ever. I mean, literally nothing ever stays the same. So on Clubhouse, if you don't mind, and on Facebook as well, if you're up there as well, I want you guys to feel free to type it in text on this one. We're not going to be very long. We're going to be very, effective today, and communicating a point that everyone needs to be consistently reminded of. No matter what you build, it will never stay the same. Yet, the only thing that stays the same is his word, Elohim's word. The interesting thing about that is, though his word stays the same, it is his word that makes everything change. Does anybody find that sort of amazing? Everything changes. Nothing stays the same except for his word. Yet it is his word, which never changes, that causes all of the change we see. I think that should be a quote.
Powerful statement, sir.
And that having been said and noted, is something I think we all need to, I really say, keep in our mind, as we like to say, keep in our thoughts, because the only real, I love what Yahweh said in Isaiah. I was in Sabbath this past Shabbat, and as Yochanan says, I was in the spirit on the Lord's day, right? And I get this revelation. So can I get a reader? Do I have a reader? I can do it myself, but I need a reader. Do I have a reader today? Can I get a reader?
Celia.
All right, Celia, I need to go to Isaiah chapter 58, get verses 13 through 14. Now, you guys all know this passage. Hey, Veronica, miss hearing your voice, lady. Isaiah 58, 13 through 14. I'm listening to this word from the prophet Isaiah, who only propagates the word of Elohim, right? And he tells us how to Shabbat. He gives us this instruction about how to do Yom Kippur, how to come into Sukkah properly, and then in turn, conversely, shows us, in fact, how to actually keep the actual practical, let me say it again, how to keep practically Sabbath on a seventh day Shabbat. And he gives these profound words. And this is what I tell y'all when I say, every time you go over the word, you learn something new. Now, y'all know how long we've been talking about Isaiah 58, 13 and 14, right? Y'all do know we talk about that every week, multiple times a week, right? Y'all can talk to me today.
Yes, we do, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Amen.
And I want to make sure we get this clear, and I want to make sure we get this for an actual understanding. If somebody can ping in Pastors Prophet Roach and Pastor Mary Roach, I'd appreciate it. I'm sitting here in Shabbat, just going over how to Shabbat, because I keep it fresh in my head, and then it hits me. And I want to share that with you today. Take us into that, Mystique, C. Marie.
Isaiah 58, 13 to 14.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If thou turns away thy foot from thy Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure, on my holy day, and call the Sabbath my delight, the holy of Yahweh, honorable, and shalt honor him, not doing thy own way, nor finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thy own words, then thou shalt delight thyself in Yahweh, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob, thy father, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it.
All right, so he goes on to let us know, thank you for your reading. He goes on to let us know that if you will do what I say do, here's where I got trapped. Y'all have heard this endless years. If you'll do what I say do, not taking it, but making it a delight, not doing your own thing, then you will be seen as delighting in Yahweh. Watch this. And then he says, I will cause you to ride upon the high places of the earth. Oh, Apostle, that's nothing deep. We've heard that you say it all the time. Yeah. But I got stuck at, I will cause you. To ride upon the high places of the earth. Places are changing stations. They are stations of change. His word doesn't ever change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. We know that. But it is his word that has established not only the changings of the four seasons of winter, spring, summer, and fall, but he is also the very same word that causes the change from the spiritual seasons of Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkah. And though these seasons change, his word never changes in them. Though you go through cycles in life where you sin this way because you were a young child. When I was a child, I thought like as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. Now I supposedly think like a man. I can prove y'all that just because I'm a man don't mean I don't think childishly. I promise you, I am probably the most childish thinker on the planet. When I do my introspection, I check myself. I'm like, you're an idiot sometimes. I got to tell myself that, because I'm like, why did you say that? Why did you do that? What were you thinking? Can I get a witness? Anybody out there? It really checks. Maybe I'll do it twice for me. One.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
I do all the time. So I can assure you that just because you're an adult does not mean you can't be childish. Ooh. Anybody want to say ouch?
Ouch.
That part. And it's the most interesting thing. So when he tells us that when I'm a child, I think like a child. Now here's the catch to the seasons changes. Here's the catch to the seasons of change. When you're a child, you think like a child. That's a season. When you become a man, you're supposed to put away childish things because you can't play with rubber hammers in building a real house. It's just not going to work. You need a real hammer, right? And so I sit and I'm thinking, why did you say that? And so, not that I didn't know it, because he's always made me clear about it, that hey, I'm gonna be the one that calls you to ride to the high places. That's what you go to work for. That's what you study for. That's what you want to make happen. But when you honor me, I'll get you there. I'll get you there. I'll get you there. I'm like, okay, awesome. Everybody knows that. When you delight in him, he will cause you to ride upon the high places of the earth. And he says, now think about what I said. I will cause you to ride upon the high places of the earth. We automatically made it associated it to different levels in the earth, which is a good relative statement. And then we also made it at different geographical positions in the earth. Right? Or for instance, this proverbial ceiling that we all have. Some have a glass ceiling, some have a very literal ceiling for forward progress or upward mobility at your jobs or in your communities, or for that matter, at your church, based on the politics, or in the political arena, of all of our worlds, in all of our nations. And you have these ceilings. So there's places beyond where you are, we're all trying to get to. And we relegated this statement to sort of kind of say, for those of us who are understanding of that, he will cause you to ride upon the high places. That's an excellent statement. That's an awesome benefit. It's a magnificent blessing, but it's deeper. Because the word that you honor in your life, his word, which does not change, takes you through changes.
Wow.
Yeah. It makes you just, what? My word does not change, but my word takes you through changes. And this is where we keep saying, I want to do his will, but we really don't get that it requires us to obey and follow his everlasting, never changing 613 commandments. And people say, that's the law, that's that devil, you're lying. Okay, pay attention. The word don't change, but the word is what takes you through changes. Let me just put it out there in this way. We're going to talk today. I'm not going to be the only talker, so y'all come off microphones, send microphones to everybody in the room, Facebook, YouTube, all of you guys. I want to hear from you. I was even talking with an evangelist this morning, had a really great one of several conversations and meetings, but I had a meeting with one of the evangelists. Matter of fact, they're right here on platform. Please don't identify yourself, but we'll make sure that the conversation is where it needs to be. And one of the things we were utilizing as an analogy was a part of what I wanted to talk about today with you guys about things change. And then that same analogy uses it to help the situation that we were dealing with one of our beloved. And so here is what he showed me. He said, listen, when you are born, it was my word that brought you into life. It's my word that gives you a predestined path to travel. It is my word that is the foundation you walk upon. Y'all remember Peter, right? Pop quiz, pop quiz, pop quiz. I need some answers. Pop quiz. Say your name. Come off mic. Say your name. Pop quiz. Did Peter walk on water, or did Peter walk on something else? And if he walked on something else, who can tell me what he walked on? Rogers, go.
He walked on the word.
Yeah. That still shakes me right now to this day, having preached it as many times as we preached, help me because I took my eyes off of the word. And that's how I fell into the world of water. And Messiah, the living word, had to come back and pick him up out the water. So the word is responsible for the changes that all of us go through, yet the word never changes. Let's talk about it. So the word is responsible for when you and I come into the earth. Listen, none of you determined or decided when you would be pushed into the earth. And none of us ever decided, even though we tried to make those calls like I did, you never decide. It's not up to you when you leave this earth. So it was appointed by the word, you exist in this phase of lifetime and eternity. But you are also not responsible for when you expire from this phase of lifetime and eternity. The word determines that. Now, let's look at what the word did. It spoke you into existence, and it's going to speak you out of this worldly existence. Okay? The word don't change. The word then pushes you into earth. So you leave from the mind of Elohim. You now get wrapped in this flesh suit, this pulchritude, which, by the way, by the time you and I showed up, had already been damaged and perverted. So we got stuck with a worse or a lesser product than intended, right? We got all these proclivities and propensities and issues. Now, listen, the word never changes. The world does, but the word causes you to go through changes. Listen, he goes on to make the statement that when Yahweh spits us into earth from his mind, he sends us into this world with a plan. Listen, y'all, can anybody tell me, come off mic, say your name. Can anybody tell me, and I want to share the love around the room. I want the rooms to actually respond. I want more than one person responding. So I want y'all to really think about, if you haven't responded in a long time and you do know this answer, I want you to come on mic and say your name. I want to hear from you today too. But I want to make this clear. So here's the question. Who knows when and where let me put it this way. Let me back up. We're spit into the earth. We're pushed into the world by the word of Elohim. And by the word of Elohim, it is determined how we live and how we walk. And I just lost my question. Oh, bring it back to me, Ruach. Sorry, guys, I got to start over. I lost the question. But we're pushed into the earth by Yahweh, our Elohim, right? He determines when we come in. He determines when we leave. We're then, our parents don't determine when we come in, but Yahweh pushes us. Thank you. Here's the question. Thank you, Ruff, for bringing it back. The word determines all of this. But a preliminary question before I get into the meat of this is, who remembers, quote unquote, the new covenant that Messiah would make with us per the New Testament? Because you know there's no New Testament, right? There's no new covenant, right? What was the covenant that he made with us today that those prior to him did not have? Pop quiz. Come off mic, say your name, give me the answer.
Rogers.
Rogers it is. Rogers again, go.
The new covenant that he would write his laws in our hearts and in our minds.
He would write his laws where?
In our hearts and in our minds.
So this is in the heart and in the mind of the human being.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, Elder Rogers. I want someone else to participate too as well. But he wrote the word in our hearts and in our minds, not like he did before Messiah when he wrote it on tablets, and Moshe help to enforce that, and the Levites, that they read the tablets, read the actual skins that have the Torah written on them, and keep them preserved in a place. Now you don't really have that issue. It is innately within each of us, the word of Elohim, in two places, in our mind and in our heart. That's the new covenant. And the word told you it would make that change. The word is still the same, but it did change the carriers of the word. The word is the same, but it changed the carrier. And it changed the position of the word. David cried, "Thy word have I hid in my heart." Listen, listen, I told you this has been a weird weekend. He says, "Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against you." When Messiah comes, Messiah says, you don't have to hide the word in your heart. I'm going to write it in you. Y'all make me do it. Y'all gonna make me do it. Y'all gonna make me.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Think about it again. King David, before Messiah, before the manifested Pesach, before the cross, King David cries through his entire life, "Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against you," meaning you have to put the word in there. When Messiah comes, the living word, which does not change, the same word David is trying to tuck in his heart, is telling you, I'm going to now just emboss my word in your heart. I'm going to, what's that called? Monogram. What's that monogram thing? What's it called? And Mom, she's gonna be mad at me if I forget these words.
Engraved.
No, but that'll work too. But there's one that when you on your cuff, you embroider. Thank you. I'm going to embroider. Thank you. I'm going to embroider the word in your mind and in your heart. Think about what David says. Thy word have I hid. Messiah is like, no, they're not going to have to go through that. I'm going to put the word in them by the time they come into the earthen realm. That's the new covenant. It's still the same word. Can somebody say that's a change?
Oh, that's change. That's a change. That is change.
And so when we look at this, he lets us know that the word of Elohim never changes, but it is the word of Elohim that puts you and I through changes.
That's so good.
And often enough times, even in the element of us being disobedient, it's still the word that produces the change in us. Okay, so let's go back to the baby. The baby is born. Okay. Now, what's in the baby now that we know? The new covenant. The word is in the baby. The predestination for that child is already in that child. That baby already understands the predestination. It has it ingrained, embroidered, engraved, I heard as well. It's already in the child's psyche. The problem is when we put on this flesh suit, the proclivities and propensities and issues of the flesh, because of Adam selling us into sin, take over first, right? And we fall back to what we know or what we have in us later, because right now we're experiencing this whole new world. When a baby first comes into the world, it is overwhelmed. When it first comes into the world, the soul goes in, you have the trimesters of pregnancy, you have the embryo, you have the fetus, you have all that goes along with that, right? And then the child is sitting in this amniotic sac, living off of a cord, an umbilical cord, which is producing oxygen. Did you ever think about this? I know doctors do and MDs do, but that baby is not breathing like it breathes today.
No, sir.
mean, literally, the baby is not breathing the way it breathes today, yet it has lungs. Once that I want you to think about that for a couple more seconds. Once that baby comes out of that amniotic sac, the water breaks. That child comes down the birth channel, comes past that pelvic and pushes out into society, or is taken out of the womb by C-section. The first thing that baby does is cry. Why? Because now that baby has a whole different set of senses going on. It can feel cold and heat, whereas in that amniotic sac, it felt the amniotic sac. It now can breathe into its lungs with its own mouth and nose. It's trying to see. Light is different. My eyes are working weird. What's going on? I can hear stuff now in real loud decimals.
System shock.
It is a complete system shock. And you become literally changed. Though the word sent you into the earth, the word now has you going through this phase of change. Okay, I'll stop there. Keep the movie going. Then the child moves on from being wrapped in swaddling clothes and blankets to now being one who can walk. That's a change in life, but it's the word that created the life. Then in this, they go from crawling to walking to running. They go from kindergarten to middle school to primary school to elementary school to middle school to secondary school to high school to university to college. Then they go to marriage, parenting. Those are all changes. Nothing the word made stays the same. Help me get this out, Yahweh. Nothing the word makes stays the same, but the word never changes.
Amen.
Yes, amen.
Your friendships, your parents, they change on you, don't they? Parents, your children change on you, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Oh, yes.
Now, you can say that positively and negatively, right? They change on you. They change on you. Your spouse changes on you. Your education changes on you. The world for financing changes. The world of money changes. Banking changes. Fashion changes on you, like literally. But the word does not. The only sure way you can make it through the changes in your life, people, is by standing on the only thing that doesn't change. Okay, let me try this one more time. When Yahweh said, I will cause you to ride, that means I'm going to chauffeur you through life. And what he shared with me was, and life's changes. And the word is what gave you life. it doesn't change. It knows the curves, the angles, the ups, the downs, the dips, the topography. It understands the space. It understands the aerodynamic design. It understands how to get through the swamps. The word doesn't change. This word doesn't change. His word doesn't change, but his word gave us life, and life changes. Life changes us, but the word, the same word that caused the change, will show you the change, but you have to depend without doubt and depend on the word.
That's deep.
You know, you think you know stuff when you get older. You realize, I don't know nothing. Matter of fact, the more I learn, the less I know. I'm like, oh God, I thought I was, because in your peer group, you're like, you're not, I know this, and I know that, and I know this, and look at this right here. Let me show this to you, and I got all this. And look at my wall, all my degrees, and look at my trophies, and we think we know something until, again, he proves us still childish. The word never changes. The word, Shalom, Prophet Mike. The word never changes. It never changes. But the word is why we go through changes. Why then, when the changes come, don't we clamor to the word? Why then, when our spouses shifts gears on us and we don't understand why do we not clamor to the word when the word gave us marriage? When our finances change, why do we not clamor to the word when our finances change? Because we got caught making the finances our God instead of the word of God our God. And the next thing we have done is try to make what we built stable and last forever. You are not Keith Sweat. Make it last forever, ever. Ooh, just make it. You can't. Nothing stays the same but the word of Elohim.
True.
Now that should make Keith sweat. That's all I'm saying. Just putting that out there. It's Monday. That should make Keith sweat. Nothing stays the same. My children are grown. I'm sitting here reminiscing, taking them from their first breath, watching them turn their heads and wiggle their feet and couldn't control their body, to now controlling mine. You know, telling me what's right and wrong about my body, what's right and wrong and I need to do, and being wise about it. Seasons change. Listen, when I thought about it, it took me to a whole nother level of comprehension. He gave us 4 seasons for government. Those 4 seasons determine how, in fact, the Earth's ecosystem thrives. But the word made those changes mandatory. I'm going to help somebody because it sure enough helped me. Stop fighting change. Keep the word so you'll know why the change. Because we think that change is just bad. We think that I live in a hurricane-driven state, right? Or hurricane frequently experiencing state. And in the state that I live in, the hurricanes come through here and we build these particular structures, even with hurricane coating, and the hurricane still has the power to rip that building to shreds. And we think that the hurricane is the devil. So subsequently, or conversely, in this parallel, we built something in our lives, our religion, our level of faith, the way we see faith. And then you come into contact with the word, and it changes your perspective on the organization, on the building and the way you do faith, and you think the change is the devil. So when the word comes in and tells you what these changes are, you're better able to not resist the change, but let him ride you upon the high places of the earth. I'm gonna stop right there. Yeah, I hope I brought it home. I hope that brought back. I hope it brought, if you didn't catch the beginning, you might not have caught this in the middle. Okay. Y'all not gonna do that. Y'all gonna make me do it again. All right.
Right now. Wow.
Do y'all get that? Because we are so stagnated, and we live in such a stagnant environment so many times that we force air, we force water, and air and water are not to be contained. They can be managed, they can be directed, but they're not to be contained. Water has to flow, air has to flow. Technically, air is water. Did y'all know that?
That is true.
Technically, air is water. So the way we breathe water from the time we were in the amniotic sac to the way we breathe water now. Oh, yeah. Did y'all make the connection? The way we breathe water now is different. But the word produced mandates the change. And we're trying to navigate the change without the stability of the word who makes the change necessary. And we are trying to literally hang on and surf with our own made equipment. We're trying to, watch this, we are trying to find the formula that for years Ponce de Leon was labeled with, of finding the fountain of youth. We are still trying to find cosmetics and makeup that will stifle the aging process. Baby, you ain't gonna look that way next month. Deal with it. Get with the word and find out how to make it better. We're afraid of being grandparents. We call glam moms and ooh, I didn't mean to touch that one. Anyway, let me get back to Keith Sweat. And I ain't got no more Keith Sweat. I'm just playing around. Nothing stays the same. Your health doesn't even stay the same. You change, you lose weight, you pick up weight, you do not change. You get gray hair, and you're trying to dye your hair, but there's a reason for the seasonal changes. And because we will refuse to keep those seasonal changes as acts of Elohim, intentional acts of Elohim, we go to change it because of our shallow understanding of changes. Wow. So just one more time, I want to put this out there, and I don't see the quote up there, but I'll get it. And it goes to state this: nothing stays the same ever except for his word. But it is his word that takes us through the changes. So you're changing, people are moving out of your life, you're doing church differently. We're clearly doing business differently. We don't have problems with doing business differently. We don't have problems with accounting changing from, accountants having an ink pen and an eraser and a pencil in droves on their desks because they got to make marks with the lead and then erase it if they make a mistake. Now you got computers. We have no problem with those changes. Oh, those are upgrades in life. We have no problem with, going to the field and sowing your seed into your ground to get your own kumquats and bananas and oranges and melons and collard greens and mustards and yams, potatoes or whatever. We seem to have no problem with that, because now someone has organized mass production. And then we can go, instead of to our yard and have to get dirty, we can go to the store dressed for Sunday and pick it up already washed in the marketplace and give coin for it rather than seed. We have no problem with those changes. We're good with that because it's technology. But when it comes to us in our lives, we fail to realize that what's happening there is paralleled in our own. And we must begin to embrace the fact that you've got great hair. Embrace the fact that you're changing how you think, the things you no longer tolerate, the places you're like, I can't go there anymore. I can't sit with people who think like that anymore. But I love them because they got me out of jail. They bailed me out of jail twice. I still love them because when I was really into thinking the way that they are still thinking and I got in trouble, they kept my secret. Nobody knew. So I can't just leave them. I can't just change from them. I'm going to be accused if I change the way our relationship interacts. Stop trying to make everything stay as it was. Your status in society is destined and mandated to change. Your financial structure, and it doesn't mean that if it changes for the worse, that was where it goes. You stop trying to think that everything got to stay the same. Stop trying to lock things down so you can control it. That's a control freak. I got this, I'm changing, I'm controlling this, I'm staying right here. I'm not going anywhere past this. No, change is necessary. Change is mandatory. The seasons are spiritual seasons, as well as our physicality, as well as our relationship, our mental psyche changes. You and I must be able to change. You got to stop with this Grecian theory, men, and this Grecian formula, because your beard is growing gray and you trying to chalk it in black. It don't even look right. It looks fake. It makes us look like we're lying, trying to be something we have grown out of. So therefore, when I became a man, I thought I put away childish things. Oh, maybe it's because we just want to look youthful. You know, you can do that without changing you. You can just get healthy because your body's going to change. It doesn't mean the weights don't change. The gym don't change. The technology does. But the same way to keep your abs the way they need to be, your glutes the way they need to be, your quads the way they need to be, requires motion. I will cause you to ride upon the high places. As you go through the motions in life, my word will keep you stable. But changes are going to come. Changes are never not going to happen, but the word remains the same. I just want to leave y'all with this thought today. Changes are going to come. They're coming right now. You're going to change people. You're going to change cities. You're going to change relationships. You're going to change relationships with people you'll maintain, but the relationship will change. It's not for hate or ignorance, and some need to be, so that when the spirit that is not of God is acting out within the issues of the people you feel you're going to be stuck with for the rest of your life, it may be something to get you to identify that this issue I can't be a part of, this mentality I can't be a part of, and I got to make sure that I keep you as long as you're operating that way over there because I can't get drugged back into that. I know I'm evolving, don't know into what, but the word will help me. And the word says, if you acting like that, I can't be around you. Because the word don't change. And the word has me on this trajectory. The word has me on this path. I want to leave y'all with this. And then I'm going to open up the floor so we can chat for a couple of minutes. We got a few minutes. Go to me, Psalms 102, 27. Psalms 102, 27. And this great psalmist puts us in light of really what we need to really sort of kind of pay attention to. Psalms 102. I'm going to start at verse number 24. Actually, I gotta go deeper. Let's go up a little bit, verse 16. Listen to the rhythm. This is for context. Are y'all learning anything today? Y'all enjoying this? No, maybe so. Yeah. Did y'all invite my friends up?
Yes, sir. Awesome.
You sending microphones down into the room so those that can come on can come up. All right, verse 16 says, when Yahweh shall build up Zion, he shall appear in his glory. He will regard the prayer of the destitute and not despise their prayer. This shall be written for the generation to come, and the people which shall be created shall be praising Yahweh. Verse 19, for he hath looked down from the height of his sanctuary. From heaven did Yahweh behold the earth, to hear the groaning of the prisoner, to loose those that are appointed to death, to declare the name of Yahweh in Zion, and his praise in Jerusalem, when the people are gathered together and the kingdoms to serve Yahweh. 23, here is where we get right into our meat. He weakened my strength in the way. What? Was it clear that we're talking about Yahweh at this point? Building Zion, releasing people, appointing. Is it clear? I need some help. Was it clear we're talking about Yahweh here, right?
Yes, sir.
That's a yes? Okay. Okay, I got a couple yeses. Good. So verse 23, we're talking about Yahweh, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if I read this rightly, listen, Yahweh weakened my strength in the way.
Wow. Yes.
Let it sink in. See, because there's parts in your phase of your life you can't be strong.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So it is written.
He weakened my strength along this journey in life at certain points, because he's going to ride me upon the high places of the earth. There are certain phases you can't go through life touting your strength, though you may be strong as all get out, but you can't go around touting your strength. Sometimes you got to show yourself meek. So Yahweh, this is just a parallel, but Yahweh says he weakened my strength in the way. He shortened my days. I said of my Elohim, take me not away in the midst of my days. Your years are throughout all generations. Oh, of old have you laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They shall perish, but thou shalt endure. Yea, all them that you made wax old like a garment, as a vesture shall you change them. Change them. They will be used right there. They will be used for your glory, and then you change them.
We were meant to be the same for these.
Do you know that when this body for the believer goes on to glory, that this body will be changed? But
Yes.
the word will stay the same. It'll be the same word in control who changed this body going through changes into another type of a body. I'm going to pause right there.
My gosh.
Nobody.
This is so good, Apostle.
Yes.
So good.
Verse 26, they shall perish, but you shall endure. All of them shall wax old like a garment, as a vesture and thou shalt change them, and they shall be changed. Verse 27, I think everybody should put your mouth around saying this and put it in the atmosphere and tell Yahweh, but you are the same, and your years have no end. The children of your servants shall continue, and their seed shall be established before thee. And we took this in a way of saying this particular group of people, like this ethnicity of Jerusalem or Israel, our Jewish brothers, is who this is relegated to. Remember, what's true in the natural is first true in the spiritual. I want y'all to make this go viral. Ride the word through the waves and times of change. Ride the word through the change. That's why he says, in him we live, in him we move, in him we have our being. So when change happens, we're already settled in what mandated the change. And we don't lose our mind when certain people walk away from you and you don't understand. Because you put all your eggs in that basket. Or an investment that you just had scientifically and in your office laboratory mode, you knew this program would work, and then it changed on you. People who were with you at one time change. Change is good to see what's fake and what's pure and true. I love another analogy that our Savior gave us, and this is just another layer of it. You can use it for other situations. I'm not saying it's relegated to this reveal. But there is always the story of the house that was built on the sand, and then the house that was built on the rock. See, because the storm will come if everything is fine, if you have fair weather, the dwelling built on the sand will stand and look nice. The one on the rock as well. But when mandatory change comes, when ecology cleansing comes, when mentalities and the need for progression and evolution and elevation come, those changes will reveal everything that's not real. We sometimes call them storms. Because when something changes, we got to find a new way to eat. We got to find a new way to talk. We got to find a new way to get around. We got to find a new way to do this, to do that. We got to find a new way. What do I do now? A divorce, a death. That's a major change. Like, okay, well, what do I do now? And I'm divorced. I've been 30, 40, 50 years in this, 30, 20, 30, however many years you've been wrapping your mind around this marriage and the ideal of marriage. And then there's a death of a mate, or a divorce, which is still to be equated to the death of a mate. The question is, what do I do now? That this support mechanism and the system and partnership is gone. A mother or a father who pass away, or a child who now has been the mother and the father's main reason for existing, moves all the way to the other side of the globe, over 2 oceans, and you just can't get to them. Thank God for technology, but you got to now find a new identity. What do I do now? Change. Some people lose their lives. You retire from your job and you realize that your whole life was into that job and in retirement. And these are just the simple, natural things we do today, which go deeper if you let me, but I'm not going to have time to. And that is, once you get change, you retire. You're in a happier mode, right? Because you got a retirement plan, you got 401k, you got Roth IRA, you got your golden parachute or not. But you're retiring from work because you're just tired of working. But what about, you're in a happier mode, but you still ask the question, what happens now? Change. You get fired. Maybe the other side of this pendulum. You've been at a job for so long, and now your job either shuts down unannounced, or you get fired. Either way, you're asking yourself, what do I do now? Change. Only the word can bring you through it. My name is Apostle B.W. Jones. I'm going to give some space for a few people just to make some chats or conversations if you'd like, if you found this to be edifying to you. I just want the message to be clear. Ride the word through the change. The change is mandatory. You may not like the change, but it's for you. Some people don't realize that once you come into truth, you can't ever go back to what you know is not true. And if you do, you are a dog. It is like a dog returning to its vomit. And we're still trying to stay in a place we know is not truth. And we're making ourselves sick. Y'all know one of my favorite phrases in the writ is, 2 can't walk together except they be agreed. Change is a real thing. That's right, Sonia. Ride the word through the change. We come into the truth. The worst thing we can ever do is see truth, see it work. It even quickens in our brain and it quickens in our heart. But because of the spheres and the people we're connected to, we don't let them know how we feel, right? Or we're afraid to show what we've vetted. And then they're so pronounced about the way we've always been in this sphere, but now you've learned, because it's in your heart and it's in your mind, and you've seen truth working, you've seen truth in action, and you're like, what truth is, we're not doing. And then you stay there. You get sick. And you don't have to. The worst thing you can do is learn what is clean and wholesome and necessary for life. It's an upgrade from your present way of life, and then you stay in the lesser level, lesser space of life and not elevate to proper health. That's irresponsible. That's irresponsible. So today, change is going to happen in your world, and you trying to stop something from changing is not going to happen. There's a phrase that says, time marches on. It doesn't care who's in the way. You have to be changed. There's going to be a change. It's going to be changing. There's going to be change. Anybody find this interesting or edifying? Today, you can come off mic, say your name. I'll give you 60 seconds to share your point, and we'll see if we can edify and add value to the room for a few moments. Anybody wants to come off mic, say your name. Hey, Peacock, say your name, and we'll put you in queue. All right. So, Peacock, what you got?
First of all, I want to just thank Yahweh for this teaching today, and then also teach you. It has brought so much clarity in my life, and because I'm in this season of change, and it's very uncomfortable for me. Being raised in church all your life, and to come now and to come into truth, it's really like painful, because I'm 53, so this has been layers. I've just been in kingdom about a year. I still had some kingdom traces, but didn't understand why, because I thought I was a misfit in the church, but I guess I was kingdom, then just didn't have language for it or whatever. But this message today is helping me because I'm in a place where I have to make some decisions, and it's uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. I'm in the process, but trying to figure out how to minimize the pain, where it is, because there is pain. I'm angry with myself. It's just so many different mixed emotions.
Changes. That's exactly. I'm sorry, but they're changes, and oftentimes we don't know what the effects of change will bring. Some changes will make you happy. Some changes will make you uncomfortable. Some changes will make you cry. Some will make you breathe heavy, and some will make you think harder, right? So those are all effects of change. Go ahead, Evangelist.
And so with that being said, what you were saying today helped me tremendously how to put these pieces that I don't know where to put them into perspective. And so today's teaching, how you broke it down as the baby, and how he's in the sack, and when it comes out, the different things that it's learning to do once it's out, that it didn't have to really do once it was in, because once I was in that situation of Christendom, and now coming out, it's like it's really something. Sometimes I can't even put it in words what to say. Sometimes I just have to cry it out because I'm like, Yahweh, I don't know what to do with it.
So you get the baby analogy. Well, then I like the way you said that. All the years you've been in Christendom, you were incubated in that sack, that amniotic sac, which we're going to call Christendom, as it were. And yet now you're still a child, you're still an entity, you're still a desire of Elohim. And when you come out of that sac, life is different. Your senses are on overload. because now you have to change how you eat. You don't eat from an umbilical cord anymore. You eat through your mouth. Does anybody pay attention to that? That little entity, all its life, all 9 months, was inside of this womb. The baby comes out crying. What's going on? Who are these entities? Why? You know, baby's just crying. It's like, why? You know, shh, 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 it's okay. The baby is just, that baby is crying because their senses. I can feel, what is this? What am I feeling? Why is it hot? Why is it cold? What's this on my skin? Can you imagine what must be going through that baby's brain? Just on senses. Until it can sense it's safe where it is, and this is a natural metamorphosis. Some of us are going through natural metamorphosis and fighting them, and we're killing ourselves. One of the worst things we can do is hold ourselves back with change, because we have not gone to what mandates the change. I thought that was profound, but okay. And when we realize that our change will affect us. I mean, what's going on? We've been in church all this time. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And then we find out some other things that needed to be considered, and they require a response of maturity and responsibility. And the responsibility of this now new need considered information means I got to tear down everything I've built up to this point. Everything I've known's got to be changed, because this can't be facilitated in this broken down vessel. This vessel can't handle this truth. Watch this. New wine can't be poured in the old wineskin.
That's good.
That's good.
And so when truth and change hit you, you need to know the truth. You heard me teach all the time, the truth behind the storm. There's a reason for the storm in your life. There's a reason for the change in your life. Changes happen. Fall happens, spring happens, but it happens by a mandate of the one thing that doesn't change, the word of Elohim. All of you have been predestined by Elohim, who sent you into earth. But if we don't get in his word, we will never find that predestined course for ourselves. And we'll go around in this world doing whatever we find adaptable. Just trying to make it. I'm just trying to make it. How you doing, man? I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to make it. One more day. Hallelujah. All right, well, get into the word. You won't be trying to make it. You'll be making it. Aha.
Ooh, that was good.
Ride the word through the waves and the twists and turns of change. The big thing we got to remember to do, people, is what does the word say about this phase of life I'm in? Because we don't like to admit it, but we have preconceived ideals of where we've projected our life to be. And if we ain't read his word, we will miss the predestined path and course he gave us, and to why he sent us into the earth. And you're going to go do your own thing. Ride the word through the changes of life, because every change is predicated and mandated by the word. So the baby analogy to me is just such a beautiful thing, because you realize that that child, all that child's life, all that baby's life, all that entity's life has been 9 months in this thing. That's the entirety of its life. And now you changing me? Oof. And when that change comes, they're screaming and holding their hands, and now they got put in their mouth and like, what is this? And now you got teeth coming in. What's going on? I don't know what's going on. What's this change about? We know as parents, oh, that's so you can eat meat later on. But that baby at that time, like, this hurts. What the heck is going on? Why is my mouth? What's going on? You know, they're teething. We know it's good. That they don't. Yahweh knows the change for you is good. You don't. Some of y'all teething and want Yahweh to destroy your gums. Just take my gums out. Are y'all enjoying?
Yes, I needed that, Apostle. That was good. It's too good.
Who was that speaking? Peacock. Go ahead. You finish this. You can take your next. You got 30 seconds. Go.
But yeah. Okay, wait a minute. I get myself together. But yeah, with the baby analogies, even when I was thinking about, even as you were speaking, you know, I don't know if you've been fishing or not, but you know, when you use the bloodworm, you got to handle that thing a certain way or it bites you. And I also, when you're talking about the baby, you know, and all that you're talking about, I thought about when I used to go fishing, and I never touched the bloodworm. My husband at the time would do it because it was a certain way of not going in your skin. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking about even that analogies as you was talking about with the baby, you know, how, you know, this word, you have to just get in it and let it handle you in a way that, like you were just speaking about, Yahweh is going to do what he needs to do. But it's all this coming, you know, for me, having the lack of understanding of what is going on with him and the way you just brought it forth just helped me to solidify it even more. So thank you so much, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Oh, I love it. That. Thanks for adding value, and thanks for bringing more emphasis to this baby analogy. I'm glad somebody got it. But here's the catch, because in that baby's analogy, I mean, think about it. You know, even with the bloodworm that you brought in, which has a layer I don't think everybody got unless you're a fisherman. You really don't get that. But even with the baby has to change how they eat. They've been eating through an umbilical cord. They don't understand sucking on a bottle until we keep it in their face. And then they, in desperation, as their body is changing, they'll suck it and then find out. Notice that? They'll suck it and then find out it's what they want. Or the nipple, the pap. They don't know. It's being pushed at them. You know? And somehow the baby innately can tell that, okay, this is, I need to go there. So they clamp down on that pap and go for it, or an artificial pap and go for it. But that's also something that has to be, it's a change in that baby's life. And it takes them minutes to acclimate. And we will sit there and suffer through the baby's crying. Some don't, because they think that every baby should just acclimate. They have to be nurtured in by those who have come this way before. Again, we know teething is normal. The baby don't. We know, right? The baby don't know. The baby does not know that teething is normal. So when you're going through your changes, the parent, the father, knows that the teething is good for you, but you don't know it's good for you because it hurts. It's uncomfortable. There's change. You are growing. You're maturing. Row.
That's so deep, Apostle. And even when they change over from the nipple and are going into their first foods, they're so anxious, they start crying because they don't understand that's another form of change. And that's just life. You're right. Yeah.
And even when it comes to them switching over from the bottle to eating meat, it's a change. That's why you can't just give them, you got to get them used to taking in meat. You got to puree their food. You got to, it's a progression. And our change is, if we stay in the word, and the word needs to be that parent. It's the parent's job. It's the pediatrician's job to help us understand how this change can be transitioned into, well, healthfully. Anyone else? I'll give you 60 seconds. Anyone else? Say your name. Come off mic. Say your name, and we'll give you space. If not.
Okay, Pastor Mike, since you're pressuring me.
Janet.
Okay, Pastor Mike, I'm pressuring you. Go ahead, Pastor Pressure Mike. Pass on the mic.
Yeah, you're pressuring me, man. This is, oh my God, this is so valuable. The thing that I took away, and I wasn't going to say nothing, but the thing I took away from the baby analogy is whenever the baby's in the womb, the feeding is automatic.
Automatic.
All it has to do is just be there.
Just
but when
be.
it comes out, it's something we got to do when we're in a new environment. It's something, man, listen.
And it's at every stage. It's at every stage. Every stage of life. You go from pediatrics to geriatrics. There are massive changes. Even Messiah made Peter aware of this. He says, Peter, right now, you control where you go. But there's going to come a time when people are going to dress you and take you where they want to go, which won't be where you want to be. Did y'all know that's in the Bible? Did you know that Yeshua said that to Peter? And we have to deal with change. The issue is, how do you properly deal with change? The only thing that doesn't change, which is what makes change a mandate. So how is it we go through change and we want to go to Dr. Phil? No disrespect, just a metaphor. Sorry, that was terrible to do that. That man do nothing to me. I mean, I was using that as a psychology. Not that we don't need psychology. It's not it. Okay, I'm having fun making a point. Do not crucify me. Okay, but we go through so many things that if we would simply have a relationship with the Father via his instructions for life, we would be able, especially if we're keeping Shabbat and keeping the Moedim, we would be able to sense the changing in times and seasons, as we love to quote, and be better prepared to ride out the change until the change makes whatever now becomes our normality. But we're quicker to run to the psychiatrist, the psychologist, pardon me, when we are feeling conflicted, or some counselor or some coach who's not even qualified, they ain't been through what you've been through, and you're trying to get advice from anybody else. If you lack wisdom, people, if any man lacks wisdom, let them ask of Elohim. He gives it liberally and he upbraids it not. What will Elohim give us? The only thing that doesn't change. That which causes change. The word. I know I made a whole lot of more important little quotes in here that we not.
Yeah, you really did. I got to agree with you. You did.
So that was a part of my Sabbath, why I couldn't get on with y'all on time. Because I'm sitting here like, I can't talk about this right now. These people gonna have me shot. And we got people transitioning from old school church to now this new move of Elohim, where technology can actually be a part of ministry, just as you sitting, bodies in a building, right? And now realizing that we were only supposed to be in church 9 times in a year anyway. What are we really doing? Change. And it ain't easy and it ain't nice. And people who finally hear truth, it's hard once you've heard truth and you come through something like this. The next thing you say, no, I wasn't talking to y'all, Floyd. I was talking to the mass about the quotes. But you coming out of, I know for a fact, it's hard for me now to go back and sit and listen to a lot of sermons preached.
Agreed.
Amen.
I cannot.
Just had that discussion. I can't anymore.
Ooh.
It is so hard. And yet sometimes we will force ourselves. It's like, okay, your feet size changes. Okay. Or your hips and thighs size changes, but you love those jeans and you love those particular shoes. And because you love them and they were stylish and they were what you had, you don't realize that you wearing them so comfortably all the time that your toes is hanging over top of the sandal and your heel is over the back part. The heel is leaning to the inside or to the outside, you know, but you just walking in them, you polishing them joints up, right? Or them jeans are so tight, you just keep laying on the bed and having 5 people pull them joints up. You know you can't get
I'm
it
screaming.
but you love them. Change. It's mandatory. I had to have somebody help me. I have a fashion style that I like. And I have a very, 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 very dear friend. And they always chide me because, you know, while it was in style, it was cool, but I had noticed that it gone out of style. You know, the flare legs on the pants. Y'all seen us pastors when I used to wear suits all the time. All right. And I really refuse to do it anymore. I love suits. I love dressing well, but I want to wear it because I want to wear what I want to wear because I want to be me. Right. And I know that there are statements that are made with what you wear, but here's the catch. I am wearing my suits, and my suits were like, you know, flare legs, you know, the suits, you know, the pants come down and it goes over the shoe. It's not a bell bottom, right? But it's a flare, right? And so, and some flares had pleats and some had straights, no pleats, whatever, right? And I'm fly, I'm fire. You heard me? Oh boy, got some fashion sense. And the group that this person is with would be looking at me like, there he go in his skirts. And I'm like, what the problem is? This is still popular. What's what we doing? It's what it is. You know, I didn't know that we shifted to a skinnier leg, a straighter leg. I ain't go all the way to the tattoo kind of leg pant, like them things is tattooed on. You know what I mean? Skinny jeans. Skinny legs. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Look like they painted it on you. Nah. I like my muscles, but I ain't showing them for everybody. But anyway, my skirts had to be put away. And I had this group working with me, and they're like, you got to do away. I like do you know how much these things cost me? Do you know how much these? I'm thinking that everywhere I can save these. Listen, I'm not trying to change y'all. I'm thinking about every way I can save this 180 thread count stable of suits I got. I'm like, well, I'm a seamstress. Well, I'm a son of a seamstress. I'll figure that part out. I'll get to some seamstress and we'll start chopping the meat out of them, right? And we'll just tuck the meat in so that when the style comes back, because the style is coming back, I will just unloose the seams, you know, and put the meat back up. I'm thinking, stop.
Really, sir? When the style come back?
I'm finding a million ways to save this. They just cost too much money, and I love the way the fabric falls and feels, and I refuse. And they like, you got to change. And one day my son like, yeah, Pop, you look a little dated. And I was in my feelings. I'm teething, and I'm like, I'm teething. I'm teething.
That part.
And so, with the help of people who knew where fashion was going, I was able to acclimate. And what I hate is that every time I get around these people who mean that much to me, they're like, you can thank me. You can thank me anytime. Like, oh, you get on my nerve. You can thank me. You know, I saved you. You know, like, all right. So I thought that was funny. You don't have to laugh at my jokes. I've learned.
No, I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm past left.
You know.
I'm still stuck on the skirt.
Yeah, you wore them too. Stop. We all had them flared. They still wearing them right now.
I'm trying to include me in on it.
You a part of Christendom. You've been preaching in some pulpit. I know it. You can't get up in there. That's the first thing they check on you is what your gear look like. You know, you got that skirt.
Funny, man.
Okay, I love somebody else. Lindo, right? Lindo, what you got?
I just wanted to say, Apostle, this blessed me today, and for someone who's matriculated through every imaginary aspect of what you put on the platform today, to include, even in my job as a nurse, matriculating through nursery, every form of medicine that there was, I've been through.
You really did it.
There were times when I questioned it, and I'm like, Yahweh, I would always, if anybody ask you about me, they say, oh, go ask Janet or talk to Janet about it. And my first thing to them would, you know what, read the word, go read your Bible and pray about it. He'll give you an answer. And what was so weird for me here right now, even the church I walked away from, life itself, every genre of life that you mentioned, whether it be death of a marriage, you name it, walked it, done it. But when you're in it initially, you don't stop to think. You go to that human element where, God, how do I, and you say to yourself, oh, woe is me, and how did I get here? Why did this happen to me? I never asked why, because my philosophy back in life was, if he carried the cross, who am I to complain about my burdens? So I never asked why until I came to this platform. But at the same time, I recognized that change, and I would teach my children. I teach people, I tell them, say, listen, nothing's going to stay the same. When our job sold and changed, nothing stays the same. Change is inevitable. And we have to go with it. And then now, you know what just hit me, Apostle? After being in your platform, I'll be 3 years come May, I think.
Wow.
Being on your platform,
Time flies.
Saying to myself, I said to myself, this man tells me every day, go vet it through the word. You know, I'm sitting here cooking and I'm standing by the door. I said, really, Janet? He's been saying it. You tell people that and you're not following it. I do it occasionally. You don't follow through because you go to the human element. But thank you. Thank you so much.
I like that. She says, are you saying that you're hearing my voice in your head talk about go vet it through the word?
Yes.
Does anybody else?
How long have you been telling us that? How long have you been teaching us that? I hear it, and I even sometimes say, yeah, I need to go read about that, because you know what? But then something will come, and I would sit there and I'll ponder, and I'll stew, and I'll mope over it, and then eventually I'll say, you know what? I'm the kind of person, once I go through it, 1, 2, 3, I have my 3 steps. And when I'm done, I say, you know what, Father? I'm going to turn this over to you because it's outside of my scope.
So if that's
I do know that I've always done that.
If that's the testimony that you hear in your head, and everybody should, especially if you've been and I didn't know you've been with us for 3 years. Wow, time surely flies. And you family, so at the end of the day, that's what it is. But that's the testimony that I really get the biggest kick out of when I'm hearing people going through a dilemma or an issue or nothing. It ain't got to be tragic. It just be an issue. And they're like, all I hear you saying is, what's the word say about the situation? I hope when I die that's what everybody will remember me for.
I'm gonna remember that before you die. So it goes to at least I was able to capture to put the caption on mine. I hear you.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's cool. If that's what you can remember me for, what does the word say? I have lived the way that I think Yahweh wants me to make sure we live. To make sure that you know what's the word say before you make a choice and find somebody else and get with them who's gonna be your yes men and yes women, and whatever. Make sure you find out what's the word say about my situation, because the change is based on and mandated by the word. You might not agree initially, but understand the only thing that doesn't change is his word. but yet it is his word that puts us through all of our changes. The best way to have success in them is to go to what mandated the change. And like I tell you, many of us have been in, I mean, I say this to the church world because it's really prevalent right now. You're hearing people talking about truth and talking about kingdom and talking about the feasts and the Jewish and Hebrew histories and all this stuff, but not understanding it. But when you finally get it, it becomes very difficult, not compassionate, but becomes very difficult to sit and drink it in. What you've been having served. You just can't. And the problem is many of us, we're so comfortable with all the other appendages and attachments and tentacles from that institution and what it does for us that we're afraid to go full board with the change. Consult the word. Two can't walk together except they be agreed. And what's the word say about the situation? Seek that first. And I mean that before we just run to a group, quote unquote, in prayer and praying and fasting and all that. What's the word say? It's real simple. Just go to the word. Then get with those who see the word. And as you are studying the word, and even in Shabbat and the Moedims of Elohim, you will see him speak to you clearly and then give you confirmations amongst them who are with you dearly. I promise you. Even how we perceive, even how we get prophecies, even how we get word of knowledge, even how we get revelation changes. But it's funny because it's the word that made the heavens and the earth that mandate the change. All right. I don't think I heard any other voices. Moderators, am I done? On cue?
Celia.
All right. You got 60 seconds.
So there's a lot of points that you hit on because dealing with two different boys with special needs, my oldest never could to any form of nipple when he was born, and to this day has problems acclimating to changes with food. So watching him having to constantly accept the different changes as we try to do the different feeding and whatnot is interesting. Just watching him while my other child is eating whatever he wants to, but now being restrictive of what he wants to eat because his body isn't accepting it. But you mentioned another thing in reference to how the word never changes, but it causes you to change. And earlier today, when I was speaking with another reverend friend of mine, I was telling her, it's like, this is above my pay grade, but Yeshua has to be carrying me. And it just took me to the footprints in the sand hearing you this morning. Because in the footprints, it says, at one point, there was 2 sets of footprints. And after a while, there was only 1 set. And when he asked why there was only 1 set, he says, because I was carrying you. And it just took me there because the word has to be, the word is carrying.
It has to be the vehicle.
And that just gave me, it just gave me a whole new perspective of that poem. Because it has to be the word, because I know right this second where I'm at, if Yeshua isn't carrying, if the word isn't carrying me
through the change,
you'd be mad at me. I would be losing my mind because I could not handle all the areas that's coming in at once. So you just gave me a whole different perspective of how when I make that statement, I'm being carried. I'm truly now understand the full depth of that meaning.
Right.
And I thank you for that.
Yahweh be praised. Because it's important to realize, I used to always say in that footprints in the sand, this is how it helped me. I was like, why did it end up being only 1 set of footprints? And I'm clearly the one walking. He's like, no, because you passed out. You didn't even know what was going on. I picked you up and carried you the rest of the way. So it's like, that's it. So yeah. but in proper context to the poem, it's get in the vehicle. I want y'all to make that phrase viral. I want a meme. I want multiple memes. I want to post those memes monthly if I can. Ride the word through the waves, the changes. Ride the word through the changes. You can add waves and turns and storms, changes. Ride the word through the changes. All right. Thank you, guys. I'm so glad you guys have been here with us on the Proceeding Word. Remember, man shall not live by bread alone, but literally by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh our Elohim. And remember this as a very key thing. The new covenant is Yahweh writing the same words he gave to Moshe in our hearts and in our minds. The words never changed, because not one jot nor one tittle shall pass away before all these words come to pass. Yeah, that part. All right, everybody. So, moderator, would you tell us why we're here? And we'll let you guys go.
Shalom, and thank you so much for being here with us today in the Proceeding Word, where we broadcast live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If it's your first time in Clubhouse or on Facebook, or even if you're with us over on YouTube at VWJ Ministries, don't forget to like, share, and add comment, and also to subscribe to any of those platforms if you haven't done so already. We're back here on Wednesday for our weekly Bible study at 7 p.m. under Darash Kingdom Ministries, and we continue those studies as we come together every Thursday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly read of Genesis. I believe we're about Genesis 16.
17.
Apologies, 17. Don't forget, we on a Sabbath, so you'll find us here every Friday at 11 p.m. as we open up for our Sabbath Midrash studies, and we continue those studies at 11 a.m. on Saturday. You will be noting that we are here as our church service every Sunday morning at 10:15 a.m. for our weekly service. That's our Morah after Sabbath service, where we extend an invitation for you to join us at 10:15 as we open up through Facebook, and we extend the invitation for you to join us here through Clubhouse and also through YouTube. Thank you so much for being here with us, and don't forget to subscribe to all our various platforms and also share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much. Apostle, back to you.
Thank you so very much. It's a joy always to be with you, as you have given us help to get this message of the gospel to the world. And to all of you who've listened in, I hope that this has been edifying and practical for your lives. Consider this, because Yahweh doesn't play with it. He's very serious about it. And all these things are helpful to us daily in our lives, So remember, the word is already in you. It's in your heart. It's in your mind. Connecting to the word, reading it, stimulates that and raises that up out of you and helps you make the proper choices as a kingdom believer. So remember, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim.
If you need truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences. Let love heal all that's broken.
This room is lit.
Thank you for tuning in today. I hope that this message has been a blessing to your very life and your soul, and more importantly, your walk with the King. Well, we have come to the end. I hope that you would consider becoming either a partner with us in ministry, or if you're not already a kingdom citizen, consider becoming one. By doing that, you can sow into this ministry so that we are able to continue to teach this type of ministry at a grand scale. Join us on all of our social media platforms and visit our webpage to make your contributions sure. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Shalom Aleichem.